Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. As my regular viewers know, I've done a lot of videos about how bad the police are. In my opinion, I've done far too many about this. We shouldn't have to be doing 1, 2, sometimes 3 videos a week on what various policemen up and down the country are getting up to. It's far too much, but I do feel it's important to highlight this, so I do them when I see them. Simply to let people know how bad the police can be. Because, of course, it's not just the police that are doing these terrible acts, be it a little bit of theft, a little bit of, corruption. We're talking about the ending of people's lives. Attacks on women are of women. We're looking at the, very young people being involved and the general things there. The general malaise, if you like. But of course, it isn't just those officers. It's the whole force, because they have this code. Nobody says anything. They all pretend. They all look away. Nobody sees anything. And so these people who join and then do these terrible things, they seem to get away with it because they know nobody will ever, say anything to anyone because of the code. It's quite wrong. Now the Chief Inspector of Constabulary, Andy Cook, has also said it's wrong. He's going that the police should get on and do their job, that they should be held to account, and they should stop politicising and doing virtue signalling. They're paid to do a job. They should just get on and do it. And he's quite right. And we'll take a look at this and see what the hell is going on and what this guy thinks and what he should do, because he's very concerned about trust, which I think has already gone. Anyway, here goes. So, police need to get back to fighting crime instead of worrying about causes, as the public trust is hanging by a thread, warns the watchdog. Chief Inspector of Constabulary Andy Cook said the police should focus on crime. Charging rates have fallen by 2/3 since 2014, while crime has risen. That's how bad the police are. They're great if you want someone to dance in a crowd wearing a rainbow, but they're absolutely useless when it comes to going to your house and investigating a burglary. That's what they do. They're busy. They're too busy going around people's houses because somebody said something naughty on YouTube. Hi. But they don't go out and tackle serious crime because that's hard. Whereas, somebody said something. Somebody misgendered someone. Get on and do your damn job. So police need to get back to catching criminals instead of worrying about causes, as the public trust is hanging by a thread, the Chief Inspector of Constabulary said. Now, I think that thread has snapped. I think that sword of Damocles is already hurtling downwards towards the public trust, and it's about to spear it for good. I don't trust them. I urge people not to trust them. Never be alone with a policeman. You never know. Always have witnesses. Never speak to them. If they arrest you, never speak to them until you've got a solicitor sitting next to you, because they are totally untrustworthy. I'm not saying they're all untrustworthy. I will hasten that. They're not all bad people. But as a force, because of the cancer of those bad ones in it, the whole force is corrupted. And they're not doing anything to get this cancer ridden from the body of the police. It is bad. In his first annual analysis into the state of policing since taking the job, Andy Cook said officers aren't there to champion social change or take sides. He warned forces of being dragged into political debates and distracted by pursuing non-crime hate incidents. The former Merseyside Chief Constable believes the police service has lost its discipline over the last decade. And that's what I mean. You can sit there and go, oh, but he said something on YouTube and it upset me. And then they go and investigate it. It's not a crime. Causing offence is not a crime. I find a lot of things offensive. I don't go running to mummy every time, He's called yesterday for the return of immaculately polished boots, ties or cravats, and custodians' helmets, as the public need to see professionalism if they are to have confidence in officers. If the police want to be seen as professional, they need to look professional. Forces to make sure the right standards of appearance as well as behaviour are maintained. It's actually seeing them. You very rarely see a policeman on the beat anymore. When I was young, where I lived, we had police. They'd come up at least once a day. You'd see a policeman on the beat. At least once a day. Nowadays, where I live now, if you see a police car at all, it might be once a month. And it isn't with blues and twos on hurtling to the scene of some crime, because that would really depress the locals. No, it's the sort of slow, measured pace of a little leisurely drive as they sort of vaguely check that nothing amiss is going on. It's a sort of reassurance, policing. But, I don't mind. If he's not walking, he's in the car doing reassurance policing. But it should be on a regular basis, not once every week or once every fortnight or something. But anyway, the Chief Inspector suggested the police service is at a historic turning point and there is a limited window of opportunity to repair public trust. The fundamental principle of policing by consent upon which the service is built is at risk, he said. Public confidence hangs by a thread. Now, he's going to go on about something there, which I will go into, but I'm going to say that I've always said that the police service is no longer fit for the purpose for which it is designed. I think it needs to be completely changed, and I think senior officers need to be closer to the lower ranks, and they need to be responsible for the lower ranks. So if a junior officer does something, the next officer up is responsible for it. You know, the supervisor, you have this pyramid of power, and whatever the level is, it's the guy for whom he is under is the one that is responsible. And it behoves everyone at every level to be very careful on who they hire at the beginning and who they promote up, and make sure that everything is clean. There is no suggestions, no hints. And I've also said, of course, that the vetting procedure, which only happens once, if at all, at the beginning of your career, needs to be far more regular. If you probably couldn't do it on an annual basis too much, but every 3 years, every officer must be vetted every third year, something like that. And I think that would be that's doable, and that would certainly cut out a lot of the issues that the police have been having, and why I keep making videos on them. Mr. Cook highlighted the collapse in charging rates, which have dropped by 2/3 since 2014, while the police recorded crime rose last year to the highest level since records began. So you got more and more crime and very, very few criminals being caught. Crime now does pay because your chances of getting caught are very low, and even then, when you go to the court, you probably won't go to prison because it's just not their work. It's not worth their time. Seriously, and this is a thing. I happen to know my sister worked for Asda, the supermarket, for a while, and they were told effectively if someone steals and runs out, first of all, don't go after them. They were told you don't challenge them. It's not your job to challenge them. They could hurt you. Asda would be liable for anything that happened to you. They say if they run out or whatever, don't challenge them. Just let them go. Number one. Number two, they were told if it's under £100 that's been stolen, don't even call the police. They're not interested. So, somebody could go to Asda, say, or I'm sure it's the same for Tesco, Sainsbury's, you name it, whatever supermarket. You could go to the supermarket, pick up, whatever bit of meat you want, huge turkey under it, doesn't matter what it is, whatever you're stealing, bottles of gin. You can just pick them up, wander around, saunter around, get near the door, and then boom, out that door you go. Nobody is going to chase you because it's not worth their time. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to get in trouble because the standing order is you don't chase because the liability issue for damages. And if it's under £100, they're not going to be bothered because the police won't even come around and take a note of it. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Anyway, that's not me. That I want to hasten here. That is not a guide on how to do it. I'm not suggesting you do. Please, God, don't. Be honest. Be honest. But I'm just saying that's the state. Anyway, he continued that the police aren't always focusing on the issues that matter the most to public, and the charge rates are far too low, and too often people offend with apparent impunity, and the police aren't targeting them consistently. The police are facing rising demand from the public, and quite simply, they aren't keeping up. There's not enough police. There really aren't enough police by a long shot. You need to double the number of police, but mostly you need to get police on the beat, on the streets, wandering around, so people can see that they're there and have confidence. Mr. Cook describes how victims face a postcode lottery, and in too many cases they lose confidence in the criminal justice system and withdraw from the process entirely. And he called for definitive action, saying chief constables won't fix things by issuing glossy strategies, mission statements, visions, concordats or the like. The police must uphold the law as it's written. They aren't there to champion social change or take sides, and this includes a requirement to preserve all rights, including the right to free speech. He said Mr. Cook is now calling for new legal powers for inspectors so that they can order failing forces to improve when there are serious concerns. And I think so, yes, you need to give the inspectorate teeth. Give them the teeth and they will get on with the job. Yesterday, he urged Home Secretary Suella Braverman to give inspectors a say on the vetting and recruitment of chief officers and the ability to scrutinise the work of police and crime commissioners. And Mr. Cook argues that in too many instances, chief constables are ignoring recommendations from the watchdog, but the new powers would mean forces would be legally required to comply. Finally, someone who's responsible for the police is taking a stance and saying what should happen and backing it up. And I, for one, congratulate him. I hope he's right. I hope he gets these powers, and I hope it brings real change to the police forces up and down the country. And I am done there. I will come up and we will round off. Yes, it is absolutely wonderful to see changes being made. If he is given these powers, him and his team will be able to go into failing forces and they will force change. They will have real legal powers that the chief constables must comply. They must change. They must do things. And he's asking to have an input on the choosing of senior officers. I think that is also a step in the right move. Make sure though those at the top are fit to be leaders, fit to do the job. Too many times it's a political decision. Oh, we'll put him in. You know, he's a bit soft. One only has to look at Police Scotland for that, where they had 8 forces that were combined into one, so that there was only one chief constable that needed to be brought to heel. Much easier for the executive to get their way. But we don't want that. We need to have as many forces as we can, each with its own leadership, and then each leadership held personally accountable for his force. That is the way forward. And hopefully the police will improve. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you see in here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. Definitely though, leave that like, that's the big one. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, don't trust a policeman, and goodbye.